Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another F.L.O.W Presents. And I'm excited because for whoever's with us now, whoever's watching, we're entering into a month of celebration of some of my favorite people, the creatives. That's right, all the people that got some of the best style, some of the best lines, some of the best energy that you hang around. We're going to celebrate them this month. But before we break into that kind of conversation, that we got to start off with asking or making the statement, Jesus, come quickly, cuz. So let's run it. What's up, everybody? I got with me a few guests. Y'all already know who they are. Sim the Motivator is my co-host for this month. We also got Harold Laws and we got Jana. And like I said, we got to ask the question or make the statement, Jesus, come quickly, cuz. And here's mine. Jesus, come quickly, cuz if you don't, I might actually have to pay all of my student loan back because Biden is not following through. And I'm not paying for it, okay? So if these signs mean what they mean, these volcanoes in the pandemic, I'm with you, Savior. Come on. We need it, okay? All right, that's mine. What y'all got?
I'll go next. Jesus, come quickly, cuz my man X.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
The dog has gone to sleep.
Yeah.
He was such a complicated individual, but at the same time, he was a complicated individual. At the same time, his words, his lyrics, his demeanor, his message just spoke to so many people in different ways. A lot of times we're used to hearing certain messages coming from a certain person or through a certain along a certain lane. He broke all those molds, but that everything that he spoke about came from the heart. So we all got them demons that we fight. They come in different forms, and unfortunately his demon got him, but I'm hoping that he can now rest.
Yeah. I wanted to say a note on that too. Just you stole my answer. I was going to definitely say DMX.
Yeah.
You just come quickly because of DMX. But to just talk about he was one of the artists that brought the battle between good and evil out to the forefront. He talked about a lot of spiritual battles and different things. And you could tell, even to the end of his life, that was something, that he was working through, his salvation. So definitely.
Oh, appreciate that. Jana, what you got something for us?
Mine is definitely not as serious. Now I feel bad saying it, but Jesus come quickly because these colleges say they're going to give you this large scholarship, and then in the fine print, there's, but forget that extra $36,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they'll go get you like that. It's okay. I'm still going to college.
That's right. That's right.
Indeed.
And Jesus will come quickly enough that you'll get your degree and not have to pay in Jesus' name.
Hey, yes, sir.
Amen. So everybody, before we move into our next segment, I want y'all to know, please like, subscribe, and share. If you don't know what this space is about, it's about young adults using our voice to talk about things that matter to us and our growth. So let's break into the body of what we're talking about today. Let's run it. All right. As I said before, if you missed it at the top of the show, this entire month we're celebrating our creatives. And we're starting off with my F.L.O.W, our F.L.O.W, really my fellow panelists, my fellow hosts and guest F.L.O.W. And so I want to give them each an opportunity to introduce themselves. Please tell us a little bit about your story. Don't give them too much because you want them to stay throughout the entire show. I'm going to start off with the lady first. So Jana, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I am Janice Thornton. I'm a graduating senior this year. I've been writing spoken word poetry since, I'm going to go with 6th grade. That's the time I first remember performing a poem. So I've probably been writing since a little bit before. And yeah, I'm really big on family, Black rights, and that's a lot of the things that I write about.
All right. Harold, let them know what you're about.
So my name's Harold Laws, aka Laws is my tag. I'm a what you would deem a Christian artist. I would say I got started rapping in high school when I was young, started freestyling and stuff like that. And then, you know, things changed as God took over my life. He took over my raps too. So, essentially that's just my story. I guess I'm a poet in a sense because, I write poetry. I just put it over beats and melodies and stuff like that. So it's all the same lane.
And Sim the Motivator.
Hey everyone, yeah. So my tag is Sim the Motivator. I've been writing for a while, on and off. I have a couple of books out. I I'm a teacher by profession, trade, whichever way you want to call it. So my heart is really with teenagers and young people and just doing whatever I can to help them out. So a lot of my spoken word either comes out in short prose, so stories, or poetry form, and also got that podcast that I've been pushing lately. So
And everybody, you've definitely heard me run my mouth on some platform or not if you've been a part of the F.L.O.W family. So you obviously know I just like to talk, so I love words, which leads me to my first question. And I want to start off with our lyricist on here to music. When did you first discover the power of your words? Tell us a little bit about that. When did you first discover the power of your words?
I would say when I was much younger. So side note, I've always kind of been a trash talker. So in sports, I was a trash talker. So I realized I could get under people's skin easily, like talking trash.
That
And
means
so
it wasn't good though. It's okay.
it didn't end well for me a lot of times, but I learned early that there is power in what you say. So when they say sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt, that's a lie. So definitely you can use words in a very cutting manner to get to people. And so I learned that early, and then that kind of was transformed into my art form and stuff like that. So I'm very intentional about the words that I choose and use in my words because I know it matters.
I'm with it. I'm definitely of that camp too. I'll definitely talk a mean game. Vanna, when did you discover the power of your words?
I think, right, you have to say, when do you discover the power of words in general? I had an aunt, and she does spoken word poetry, but they speak in patois, and it's fast, and it will hit you right in the heart, and then they reel you back in, and it's soft, and then it's loud again, and it's angry, and it's happy. And so with that, and, my grandmother writes poetry. So in that way, you find the power of words in the way that they, interact with rhythm and how that makes you feel. Then that's I want to do that. I want to, make people feel like that. I want to, have crowds and stuff, right? And so when I was able to emulate that feeling that I felt, that's when I knew my words had powers. That's when I knew that with the difference in words, with the difference in rhythm, rhythmic pattern, that's when you can create power and, manifest that and put it out into the audience, help other people feel that.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Sam, what's your story?
Man, I don't even know where to start. I just always had a thing for poetry. I remember when I was younger, my mom got me this little book called Black Like Me, I think was the name of it, one of the poems, and it was by Langston Hughes, Dream Deferred. What happens to a dream deferred is to drive like a raisin in the sun. And that's really where it all started. And I would write, and it dropped off for a little bit. As I got older, I realized I started moving away from the poetry side and more to telling little stories and the motivation, but it was always about the words. And just recently I've gotten back into the poetry thing. So yeah, that's it. But it's always about the words for me. And I'm kind of excited about this show. I want to hear what Harold and Jana gotta go and share with us.
It's funny that you guys talked about how words manifest themselves really in multiple spaces. I can think a long, long, long time ago when I was actually in school and had to do a Langston Hughes poem, and I'm trying to find it because it's I kind of remember part of it, but I am not going to do a disservice to this heavyweight. But something about broken sparrows, winter storms. Anyway, I remember having to memorize it and speak it. But even now, I'm actually kind of brought back to that space in Hackensack, New Jersey, on that stage, and just really kind of trying to embody the power of that, but also throughout life, realizing that what Law said is true, right? People say things and they cut you, they hurt you. Or here's the thing, the absence of words. Come on, the absence of words can also hit us because no knock is some of my upbringing. I wish I heard some words more and I didn't. And so they really pierced me. And so when I've been around certain people and I've heard how they use words to shape life and meaning, I gotta say, like, I love it, right? I love seeing poets and lyricists really break down bars. And so I want to talk about the physical act of writing, though, because you all here, again, are lyricists. So unless F.L.O.W is like the Jay-Z type, I'm imagining you write. What does writing really mean for you, that process? Are you a typer? Are you I guess it's a typer, right? Like,
so I used to be, well, I'm kind of old school in a lot of things that I do. I'm really like traditional in a lot of ways, even just from even a religious background. I'm like very traditional. So like, I'm like the pen and pad type of person. Like, I'm in a dark corner somewhere writing to a beat and stuff like that. So, I mean, as time has kind of progressing, I've gotten older. Technology's kind of supplanted my pen and pad. I don't really use my pen and pad as much. Now, if I have writer's block, I go to the pen and pad. But if I'm just creating, like, I'll just use my phone for the most part. Like, I have a 1,000 like raps and poems in the phone. But I really just try not to restrict myself, because writing, the process in itself, can be hard at times. So trying to just get in a place where, the thoughts are flowing freely. I'm in a space where, I can hear God's voice, and be able to just say what it is that I'm inspired to say. So however that happens, I'll do it.
Yeah, who's next? Oh, sure.
I don't know if maybe sometimes it's just me, but I like talk super fast. I stutter. And so for me, I mean, yeah, it's like if I'm getting really inside my head, I talk super fast. The ideas come very cyclical and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense sometimes. But I find that when I write, I have like that ability to get what I want to say across in a very like, if it wants to be elegant, it can be elegant. If it wants to be angry, it can be angry, but it's very intentional. Whereas sometimes I find it's a little bit harder to do that just off of the top of my head sometimes. And that doesn't even mean that I'm going back and re-editing the poems all over again, but it's like when I'm in a space that's very intentional, that like that ability to write for me is really helpful.
Yeah, same here. I gotta be in the zone. So it depends on what I'm writing. So the poetry, it comes to me, and my brain has this way that if I don't catch it at that moment, it's gone, and the words don't always flow the second time around. I'm definitely a pen and paper type of person. If I'm writing out a story, if I'm working on a book, then I'll sit in front of the computer, definitely, and put it there. But the poetry is definitely more pen and paper for me.
And I want to bring in this idea as somebody who's wanting to move into a motivational, inspirational speaking space. I've definitely preached a couple of times. I found that when I force myself to write out, even just the outline, or just where I want to go in my word, I am, Jana, like my wife says it all the time. Like I say things before or after the thought has come, and it's like, I'm stuttering or because I'm moving so fast. When I write, like I have to slow myself down. I have to like be intentional. And I gotta say, I still love actually writing. Even on tablet, I'll cheat and get the stylus and write out, because that act of engaging my body with the process really slows me down. But here's the crazy thing, right? So poetry or word or story is so popular really within the Black experience, yet I want to say a little bit is underappreciated. So I kind of want to just ask you guys of this question. Do you feel your talents as a writer, as a lyricist, as a poet, do you feel that's appreciated? And if it is, what spaces, or if it isn't, in what spaces isn't it? And anyone who feels comfortable answering that, you can definitely shoot on that.
Is it appreciated? I don't think I don't know if I'm on the poetry level with Laws and Jana. I'm gonna give that to them. I've been more of a storyteller in recent years. But it's still I'm finding that there's an open mic space that I've been going to recently, and of course, it's all created there, on Zoom, and it's accepted and everything is good. When you mentioned it, Rob, though, like if it's accepted, my first thought was in church, and it's like, nah, if it doesn't sound a certain way, people are a bit skeptical about it because the word is only supposed to come in a certain form, and you're supposed to look and sound a certain way, and that's not life. I work with teenagers all day, so the way I speak to them in certain situations is not necessarily how I'm going to speak to their parents or speak to my boss, or whoever it is. So there are certain words and certain um, there's a change in the linguistics that is used based on the situation, and unfortunately, not every situation is as accepting of the word usage.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think when people, like, when you say like I'm a Christian rapper or I'm Christian, like all these different connotations like come along with it, that people, or these preconceived notions that people have about it. And so, depending on someone's viewpoint or vantage point or openness, really dictates how it's appreciated or not. A lot of times I've found. I think another thing too, it's just interesting because I think when people have a point of reference, to me, I think that it's appreciated more because they kind of have a point of reference of who I am and what I like kind of stand for and things that I'm about, and the way I try to live my life. And I think that they can appreciate it more. But I think, just at surface value, sometimes, it can kind of get overlooked or not appreciated the same way, I think, when those other things are in place, like a relationship or a point of reference. So that's just been my experience.
I think that a lot of times you tell people you write poetry, people think that's like a corny hobby, or like, I don't know, like they're imagining when people make fun of spoken word poetry and they're like, I walk down the street, like stuff like that. And so it's one of those things where it feels a little bit like you have to prove yourself first, and then they will appreciate. And even if you prove yourself, maybe it's not something that they're constantly looking forward to see again, but when they see it, they appreciate it. So I do feel appreciated, definitely in the moment, in the performance, maybe right directly after the performance. But the process of proving yourself again and again is, I think that's constantly there, just because it's not as popular as people who sing and people who do a different type of, people who play sports, different type of things that are popular.
And Jana, I gotta just pull that out again for anyone watching later on or watching this now. I think this is why it's important to highlight this skill to what you guys are saying, because really words are at the foundation of communication, right? Like really evolved communication. We can communicate non-verbally. I'm not going to deny that. But when you're able to weave together a story or a tale and put it in rhyme or rhythm, right? Or if you're telling a story that someone is captivated and lost in, you really can transform somebody's experience. Yet in certain forms, it's lost, especially in the poet, especially in the rapper, and particularly in spiritual spaces. That really always blows me, right? Because we come to church, and this is, again, we bring all of ourselves to this space. We come to church to listen for a word. Think about what we say. We listen for a word. But right, if it's not sung to us or preached to us, speaking about delivery, you're like, I don't really know about it. But yet, in its variations and delivery, it can really touch someone. And actually, this one I want to this is not a question I have for y'all, but I want to bridge it. Jana, I'm going to go to you first because you talked about it. You talked about somebody, your aunt, and I think your grandmother saying things that touched you. What have you found that is really different in how poetry in particular touches you, right? With the way the words are delivered to you. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Do you mean like if they had just told me the story that they were?
Yeah, like if they had just like said it, right? If there's a theme for it, right? If they were like, oh, I'm just really hurt. But really in the poetry, they told you what that hurt was like. What is that like?
Well, specifically, the performance that always comes back to my head from my aunt is we were at a family reunion, and my grandma writes a lot of poetry, and so my aunt did a spoken word piece based on one of the poems that she wrote about my grandmother's father. So it's her great grandfather, my great grandfather. So that's a man I've never known. Don't really have many pictures of him because it was a long time ago, but her ability to use metaphors, similes, repetition, raise her voice, create like a whole different tone, made me feel as if I knew him, and they call him Matt Perry, right? And I feel like maybe I have a relationship, maybe I have a connection to someone that I've never met before. To create that connection is so different, it would have been so different if you had just been like, oh yeah, hi, like this is your great grandfather, here's a picture, he did this, he used to cut down trees and stuff like that. I don't think I would have had that same connection, that same feeling, because in poetry you're sharing a feeling specifically. You're trying to manifest that feeling in someone else. Sometimes I think when we just passively tell stories, and Sim the motivator, she probably tells stories a lot in connection with emotion. Sometimes when we just passively tell stories, we're not able to do that.
Wow. Sim, I definitely saw you nod your head. How I'm gonna get to you, but Sim, what do you think about that kind of concept of like connecting through words instead of just like saying them?
Listen, there's some poets out there that I've listened to it, and I'm in awe at what they're able to do. I think we all saw the inauguration, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just leave that there. It's a special gift. There are different types of poets, and I think as we each perform, you'll hear that we all have a different. I'm sure we all have a different style and way of doing things, and it's just to find that personal connection. What is it that works for you? How are you as an individual? Because that's really going to, I think, decide how your words flow and how it is that you're able to tell that story and the method you want to use.
Harold, what do you thought? I saw you nodding your head as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with the sentiments. There's something. I remember as a kid just listening to certain songs, listening to music, and they just having such a great impact on me, like making me feel a certain way, or just it's just so much emotion that can come when words just resonate, or you hear a metaphor or simile that you just connect to. It just does something to you. I mean, now lyrics don't really. I feel like they've lost value a little bit, and especially when you talk about like music, because I remember like listening to a track and then rewinding it. Like, I mean,
you gotta comprehend it, but I can
but I will rewind it like, oh, I gotta hear, what did he say? She said that because that's how it sat with me. I mean, there's just a power in that, and being able to kind of tap into that and create things that actually can cause people to think, challenge people in different ways, bring about emotions. I just think it is nothing short of amazing,
Yeah. Rob, sorry, I just want to jump in quickly. I think also how we perform, how we write is based on how we take things in.
Okay, say more.
Right. So if we know that we use imagery helps us in creating the scene, and the metaphors and similes are really what helps us piece things together, our writing is going to look the same way. If you know that tight beat is what gets you're going to look for that tight beat to help you get in the mood to create your next piece. So I think that's important as well. Like how we take in information, how we take in those words, that's the same thing we're going to put on paper to share with others.
Absolutely. Which now I got to ask this question. I'm going to try to limit it. Your top 5 or top 3? Because I know this is a difficult question, and I think you guys have already expressed being kind of students of the form, right? But if there were, top 5, top 3 writers, poets, lyricists that inspire you, that touched you. Yeah, I know. That's what I said. At first I was going to say, tell me one. And I was like, in my brain, that's not fair. Nobody can do one. Then I was like 3, but that seems kind of limiting. So 3 to 5, lyricists, poets, orators at really who inspire you, whoever feels open, just go ahead, drop it for us.
well, I think she just became a poet laureate in Boston. That could be wrong, but Portia Olayewala, I discovered her on YouTube. She's such a good poet. And she is really good at storytelling. She does this thing where she's like telling a story, not no rhythm, but like no intentional rhythm, no intentional rhymes, and it begins to flow into a poem. And that's hard to do for a lot of people. It's hard to do with making it sound seamless. And then also she has a style where the sentences are very choppy sometimes, and it's intentional. And having, I don't know, that choppiness creates a different rhythm that's unlike many poets that I've ever seen. I mean, I think there's a very traditional spoken word sound that some people think is funny, and she's transforming it and like influencing different like younger artists. There was a poetry out loud contest at my school, and it was virtual this year, and I saw an artist who was like attributing some of her poems to her and like the way that she had spoken, and just seeing that influence, I love her so much. She has a poem about, I think, that speaks first about her mother, and speaking about family is something that I like to do a lot. And to see another poet that I really, really like just watching it and engaging with was really impactful.
That's it. You really did just drop one. Okay, I was surprised.
I mean, it was first one. I think also, I guess then the first thing my mom did when she found out I was into poetry, of course, she got me, the Maya Angelou book. And so, of course, Maya Angelou is definitely one of my favorite poets. But when I'm thinking of someone that I'm just enamored with, I always go with Portia.
Okay, I'm here for it. Right. Thank you for opening us up to that. So everybody's definitely got to hit her up on YouTube. Definitely up her her likes, subscribes, and follows, as you should be doing to ours. Please make sure you like, share. Harold, Sim, what you got?
So I would say, because you put orators in it, but like I think like Frederick Douglass is like,
yeah,
the GOAT. I think he's like the GOAT. I mean, him and David out the Bible, Solomon too.
Oh, you took it there. Oh,
I'm just saying, listen, we're talking about the top 5, like the people who just change your life with the words they put on paper. I'm just saying, these are the best of the best, right? Okay. But if we're taking like lyricism and stuff, I mean, I would say Royce the 5'9" and maybe Elzai like are probably the two top like lyricists in rap to me. Just their ability to kind of make correlations and connections and use their for me, it's about the word uses, the word choice.
Yeah.
Like using words that people don't typically use and being able to like find ways to rhyme them or put them, the word association. Like to me, that's like that's what defines like an elite lyricist for me, when you can create word associations from obscure words and really have simplistic meanings with it. So it's like complex and simple.
You hear this black man using words that y'all don't use in
okay? That's what I'm saying. Like it's an art form, and it's really a gift to be able to do that. To say something simplistic, but it be complex, but it be relatable and all that in one. Like that's a gift.
I'm here for it.
He's talking about.
Go ahead, get Jana.
He's talking about David and Solomon, and if you talk to someone who knows Hebrew, the impact of their words is even larger in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's like a literal poem. There's rhythm, there's rhyme, and we don't have that in English. But my Hebrew friend was saying, she's Jewish, was saying that it's absolutely amazing just to see the way that they're able to connect words, way back in the day, and it's still appreciated now in a whole different language after like 25 translations. Ugh. Go Jesus, go God.
Yeah.
Sally.
Yeah. So I was here. Thankfully, I'm going last. Try to bring it back to my man Langston Hughes. He is old school OG Harlem Renaissance. Like I said, is one of the first people that I was introduced to in terms of poetry. And then now I am. There's this. She's an author, published author, but also a spoken word artist first. Her name is Elizabeth Acevedo. She writes a lot of young adult lit, but I appreciate her work because she does what's called poetry and prose. So they're full books, but they're written in poetry format. So they're like, these short stories that tell a larger story. And I really, really enjoy listening to her and reading her work, because she is just amazing. Her book, Poet X, I think that's every church girl's story, you know, wanting to be a poet, but parents sending you to church because poetry is not a real thing. It's not what you do. It's not, one of those situations. But yeah, it has to be Langston Hughes for the foundation, and then like definitely Elizabeth Acevedo, one of them who were helping to formulate what I'm doing now.
Okay. And also to everyone watching, we got a couple of viewers out there. Drop in the chat with you on Facebook or YouTube. Who are some orators, some lyricists, some poets that inspire you, that you find yourself enamored by? I'm going to be absolutely modern. I'm going to be absolutely present in this space, and I'm going to drop a couple. And I'm going to say, because this man said, I pull words out the air like Blues Tooth. And I was like, what? And I was like, what? And because you have to understand what a Bluetooth does.
Yeah.
You have to understand what he's saying. And so I think Jay-Z is an incredible lyricist, because there is an intelligence behind his use of words. Not like somebody out there in a church that gonna come across this and say, Elder Rob, again, I'm talking about the art form. I'm talking about the art form. And the art form is there. When you listen to a lot of his work, you have to, what'd you say?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. But then as somebody who wants to be an orator, I absolutely love the way Barack Obama just delivers. Maybe it's just about his poise. Honestly, his speech writers are probably dope, but at the end of the day, he has to go up there and deliver it, right? So I know that in politics, you have a lot of people who are writing behind there, but there is this essence of delivery that matters. And there's something about Barack Obama that I'm like, yes, sir, I'm going to follow you wherever you think you're going. So I really enjoy Barack and Jay-Z. But then David, like, there are some poems, honestly, where I tell people all the time, sometimes I can't even pray. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna say what David said, because he said it right. I'm just exactly what he said, how he said it, I'm gonna say it right. So those are some of the people that really inspire me. I don't want to leave the platform. I see some here in the chat. So at Aaron Stewartson said Crystal Valentine, Dinez Smith. Oh, no, I need to say this person because I watched Rhythm and Flow on Netflix. I love D Smoke. He's very, very, very fresh, like very, very new on the scene. But he also, first of all, he raps in 2 different languages. You win for me. But then also his content is like it tells a story, and it's not just about your money. It's not just about your fame. He talks about experience, and I think that's also kind of what I understand poets to do: tell stories, right? Carry a tradition that is really inherent in us forward. Well, which makes me want to ask this question for all of you now, because I want to definitely have time and space to hear your work. Does your talent in any way intersect with your spirituality, and how so? Like, where do you see those two things intersect or come across or evolve, whatever? Like, love to hear that story. Whoever feels willing to share first.
I go to public school, and not that it's hard to be Christian at public school. I really don't think it is, but there's multiple perspectives. So there's many conversations about why do you believe what you believe. And so from a young age, I had like a pride in being able to call back to whatever I was learning in Adventurers or whatever I was learning in Pathfinders, those Bible verses, to be able to support why I believe what I believe, why I thought, that the Great Flood actually happened, and why we have scientific evidence to prove it, like stuff like that. And so I think that pride manifested itself later on in my poetry when I was talking about lineage, family, because like Bible is one of the greatest history books ever written, and you can make connections to the Bible to Greek mythology, which we're always talking about in school. And so for me, that's where my spirituality connects, that ability to weave in what I believe to be my history into my own poetry. And then also just like elements of myself. I go to church. I was gonna say I go to church every day, but that's not the main part of my, spirituality. I try to read my Bible. I try to go to church every day. I try to interact in different ways with God and pray every day. And so to have that, to see that, manifest itself in my poetry without me even thinking about it is evidence of the way that my spirituality is constantly intersecting with what I'm writing. Whether I be happy, angry, sad, it's always there. Because it's super easy to make metaphors with, you know, Moses, the Garden of Eden, Jesus on the cross. And that's that.
All right. Wow. I really appreciate that. It's a part of her every day. It's what she does. Harold, Send the Motivator. What you guys got?
Well, I would say, you know, one thing is I've kind of come to know that just God is the creator. Like he's a creator and he creates and he creates out of nothing. And to be able to share in that, like, or to have him a part of my, you know, the things that I'm involved in creating, it is it's a spiritual experience. You know, I would say that for my life and how my life was and how it transformed and how like God infiltrated every area of my life, including what I wrote on paper. I mean, there were times where I was trying to write a rhyme and I was like writing verses and the spirit of God was like, no, it's not good.
Wow.
I don't care how well it's constructed, how well it rhymes. It just, if you're not talking about a true authentic experience that you're having with me, then what are you doing? Wow. And they like really like put me in a space where I said, well, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to write rhymes and make music and do this, then it needs to be honest and reflective of my relationship with him, the good, the bad, all of it. And so as I've like, you know, ventured on that journey, it's been a blessing, you know, to see people's lives be impacted by me sharing my journey or the understandings that I've had or the revelations that I've gotten from my spiritual walk, to be able to share that in an art form that can connect and touch people's lives and move them to even considering God in their life or moving in a different direction. So,
wow, man. I'm just listening. You guys definitely have layers to you that I see influence your work. Sim.
I mean, my spirituality is a part of who I am. It isn't compartmentalized where my spirituality is one and then my teacher is, you know, teaching how to something else and my leadership roles are another part of me. It all is intertwined. Therefore, what I write is intertwined. I'm only going to write based on what it is that I'm feeling and what I have experienced in some shape or form. I don't do well with putting out theoretical things that happen in the far off places that I didn't experience. That's just me. So what I write is definitely a part of me, and some things may seem more spiritual to others than other pieces that I put, but at the end of the day, they are all or referencing a connection or experience that God and I have been going through.
Basically. Man, I appreciate you guys sharing this. Yo, at Laws, I think I want to pause here because we've been doing a lot of talking, but let's get some content inside there. Yeah. So if you're willing, right, I want to start off with you. Do you mind dropping some bars for the audience, for everyone who's going to watch, who's watching right now?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's make you start.
So this is something that I've been kind of working on for this new project that I have coming out soon or whatever. So I have some music on iTunes, but this is like one of the songs in it is basically just sharing my thoughts. So it goes, and you'll hear like the rhythmic patterns of it as I like speak it. So, you know, it's definitely in rap format. So it goes, writing verses, praying that it'll save you, but trying to force your hand to accept it is what I can't do. Either you accept truth or cast it aside, but the foolish man is the one who never mastered his pride. Instead, he'd rather chase bread over the one who provides. Carry on with life, though he feeling broken inside. I elevate truth over the lies and go for the prize. Any situation, you can give it over to God. Don't hesitate. He's always on time and he's never late. And if you knew time was short, then my man, you would never wait a coming date for him to come back. I'm done with all the fun facts. Was only given one task, to be a witness of the love that changed me. It was pre-existent, had me convicted. On a tree, my penalty was lifted. Seeing beyond my faults that I need forgiveness. His pursuit of the lost, you can see relentless, until we all made whole and a soul reach repentance. That's why I be persistent, knowing he can fix it. Any problem that you face, his grace be redemptive. Just trying to finish the race like the greats in the Olympics. Rhymes, I reinvent this to elevate praise to God. Let me be specific. Jehovah Jireh, my sole provider. Like Obadiah, I preach truth to warn you of your own desires, how it can lead you to the smoke and fire. It's just truth. You're getting tight like I'm holding pliers. I'm like Daniel in a den inside a fold of lions. I'll be that stone you've been told that could fold a giant. Angels watching over me, no need to hold the iron.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Hey.
Did y'all hear how he went from you being tight from holding pliers to being like, damn you when the lions? Okay. Somebody don't really understand, but it's all right.
Hey.
I'm not here to be his hype man, but when the money coming through, and we gonna give it to Jesus first, and we're gonna get our cut next.
That 10%, you already know.
Wow, man. I appreciate it. Because you just dropped some bars. What's a little bit of the story behind that?
I mean, so, and it's just my approach. Like I said, I'm traditional. I feel like, you know, this the album that I'm going to release. It's called Preparation for the Final Crisis. So I'm like always in like a mindset, like how can I prepare people for Jesus' return? So I'm always like trying to challenge. You know, I feel like rappers don't really expound upon like the Bible like that, and I really try to give like I don't try to water down the message. I try to come straight, clear, as much as I can within context. But you know, it's what God, it's the message that God has given me. And I want to just say this real quickly. I don't really want to be famous. Like, I don't want to like make it rapping or anything. Because sometimes people hear you and be like, oh, you do music. And it's like, that's not my objective. My objective is I enjoy making music. I enjoy the creative space of that. And I enjoy like helping give a message that I believe people need to hear in this time. So, you know, however God wants to use that, if he does want to bless me and it takes off, then that's fine. If it never takes off, like this is what I'm commissioned to do. So
everybody, make sure you're following @Laws, right? @Laws Live By. Definitely go to his website. We got a question for you, my man. So somebody wants to know what's on your hat.
Oh, it says trust God and chill. And if you want to get one, I mean, they're not paying me for advertisement, but you know, Beacon Threads, you can go to Beacon Threads and they have a lot of apparel that's Christian based. So
okay, Beacon Threads, when your likes and stuff go up, please come back and hit up your family, because we want to make sure, right, that everybody got food to eat on their plate, and we trying to spread the message. Okay, all right. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Sim, I think I'm just gonna let the seasoned go first, and then we're gonna break into Jana afterwards. You got something for us, Sim?
Yeah. Actually, after hearing about X last night, I put pen to paper a little bit and I just wrote down something. So I have it here. The demons we possess sometimes leave us obsessed, confused, and a little stressed. Our minds tend to go astray. Memories don't go away, but we want to keep them at bay. Then confusion sets in, it all begins, and the outlet I was looking for is walking out the door. Now I'm here facing it. It's calling my name, screaming it. I'm running fast, can't beat it. The demon said tag. Now I'm it. But I'm a tag God and let him play around, because he's going to put it all on the ground. Some feelings may be hurt when they see their sins written in the dirt. However, I'll be stronger because God got me on his shoulder. It won't be easy. These demons stay busy, but if I stay prayed up, God would always show up. The battle may get hard, may be hella tough. I may even feel like I'm not enough, especially when these demons take a swing or two telling me I'm acting brand new. And they right. Them cats ain't lie. God got me on this crazy high. I'm out here sharing my story. Some think it's for money, but I'm only my own motivation. And this is how I'm here until I say I got over.
Ooh. Amen.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Give you your snaps. Yeah.
I needed to let that settle my spirit, because he said he's gonna put it on the ground and they're gonna feel some type of way when he write his sins. Like you gotta know the word, right, to understand that, but also get the connection for the story. So let me shut up. Janet, just go ahead. I mean, we don't just do what y'all do. I'm gonna be here for it. I'm here for it.
My issue is when I perform a poem, right? I like to memorize it, leave it on stage, and never do it ever again. So this is one of the very few poems that like someone recorded, and well, not someone recorded, but like I had the full recording for, and so I was able to transcribe and write down. And so it's about my love for my mother, and no title. That's another thing. I don't know why I don't do titles. Sometimes titles to me throw me off. And I think this is a good example of the way she's shown me how God loves me. But yeah, here we go. Starting with no introduction. I love my mother because she pulled up the covers, wrapped me warm, and allowed me to sleep. She faced off with my nightmares and talked life into my dreams, taught me mares are meant to be ridden at night, and we could be back before the sunrise. I love my mother because she taught me to love. Never loved me at arm's length, knew I needed to feel her love for me, feel her heartbeat the way it skips when I say I'm sick, or I love you, mommy. I love my mother because she taught me love like poetry, carefully crafted love like similes. I love you as deep as the ocean, love like metaphors. You are the apple to my saltfish, condensed milk to my tea, patty to my cocoa bread, and without you, there's no more me. That's Rasta Shakespeare. Love me like repetition, love me over and over and over again. So yes, love is like poetry, and my mother was my first poet laureate, but she doesn't like all of her poems. There are some poems that make her hate the hands that wrote them. There are some poems that every Black mother has memorized. Fear is a poem that every Black mother has memorized. They know each and every line, and it does not rhyme. Sounds like screeches on blackboards and screeches from Black boys, and each and every one of those screeches sounds like maybe it could be from one of her babies. Sounds like bodies hitting concrete and recklessness that could leave a nation silent. Sounds like babies' faces on XL-sized tees and classrooms with empty seats and candlelight vigils. The wind blows, the lights go out. Genocide by a gentle breeze. This is the poem that makes her heart skip a beat. When I say I'm sick, or even I love you, mommy. It's an excerpt from a poem.
Whew.
Fire.
Thank you.
Listen, that love like ackee and saltfish.
Yes. What?
That's not even what got me, man. This is Rasta Shakespeare, but I thought about Rasta pasta, but I also thought about the cultural connection. But just how there was cadence. I mean, each of you had a rhythm, a flow, and a delivery, right? That told something that was more meaningful. I'm gonna be real honest with y'all, man. My tears be real close lately in life. This whole churning season, I mean, just my water real close. This is what I want to talk about, right? Because in our churches and in spiritual spaces, we oftentimes will lean on certain delivery forms and certain aspects of the creativity that exists. But I want to bring to you the word that the body is made up of many parts. There are many talents. There are many gifts. And when we lean on specific aspects of those talents and gifts, essentially when we only use our hands, we miss out on some things that like our feet could have taken us to, right? Or some of the things that we talking so much, but we didn't listen for. And so I want to really, and I know my entire team, we wanted to celebrate artists for this month because look what we missed out on, right? Like, yo, forget the next time we got, everybody know the church service, right? We got opening prayer, introit, okay? And you got everybody's mission statement, okay? And what we got, praise and worship, prayer, and then what we got, special music. Well, I don't want to see special music next time. Give me a word. Like, give me a spoken word. Okay.
I'm trying to hear laws for special music. That's what I'm trying to hear.
Somebody drop bars for me, right? Have some motivator come up and deliver it, because what y'all do is probably going to touch somebody in that audience who needs to be touched, that probably is tired of having words sung to them. Now, I'm not diminishing the power of the sung word. That's not what I'm saying. But y'all are powerful, man. I definitely want to see if I can rap. And I got one more question. And if y'all got something else, if you want to do something raw, if you want to drop beats, I mean, I can pull in some stuff that I think is not edited right now. We can get it going. But here's my final question for y'all before we do the connect. How do you feel your talent? And I think Harold at Laws, you definitely already kind of went to the space. How do you feel your talent can impact and or influence the spaces around you? Right? Like, where do you want to see it? But at Laws, I'm gonna go to you last because you go to it. Let's start off with at Jana. Like, how do you imagine your talent, your gift, in impacting the spaces around you?
when you perform, you can see it. You can visibly see change. Even for people who, they may not be too down to listen to spoken word, you can see when it's impacting them. I performed the same poem, and mind you, the poem itself is like 5 minutes long. I performed the same poem at a Black History Month event. I'm like president of my BSU, and so it's so many mothers in the crowd hearing, I guess, someone my age talk about how much they love their mother and the way that their mother has fought for them. And, that in connection to the Bible and different other things, you can see the way that people may visibly lean in. People, I think a lot of Black people let it out. They let it out with like, whether that be or some snaps or stuff like that. Stuff like that you can see. But then also later on, you can feel when people are asking you to speak again, or when people verbally say how it made them feel, whether they were drawn to tears or stuff like that. And I think that you can see then that it influenced them, even if they may not be able to verbally say, well, this made me feel exactly this way, and this is how I'm going to change later. But it also, I think, it normalizes maybe, poetry. When I perform, I think it normalizes like a love of poetry, and maybe for other people who want to, write poetry and they like writing poetry, but they don't want to make it public because people think it's corny, or people think like, why are you wasting your time doing that? I think that's a big influence. When I write poetry and find out the other teenagers want to write certain poetry like that, or my principal wants me to start a poetry club because they want people to have access to that type of art, that stuff makes me really happy. That is how I feel like I've been able to influence and will continue influencing different spaces.
Amen.
At STEM, tell us, how do you envision, impacting the spaces around you?
My goal is just to motivate. That's where the name came from. Like, that's my only objective. Whether it's speaking at a church, if it's speaking to young people, if it's, like I said, my podcast, or just dropping bars somewhere. My motto is, as long as one life has been impacted, that my goal has been reached, and that's it. And I try to make sure that encompasses all areas of my life. Simple. One life, I'm good.
And that Laws, if you want to add anything or just kind of expound on some of the stuff you shared earlier, because you really kind of.
I'll just say, what I think the people who I'm trying to reach is like young people. I spend a lot of time working with young people, just like Sim, trying to
At Laws, how old are you talking about hanging out with young people?
I'm old, bro. I'm
no way.
40. I try to keep it is.
Did you say he's almost 40?
He did.
Yeah, no way.
He did.
But this is the thing.
Can we celebrate how black don't crack though? Let's celebrate how black don't crack. Come on.
Because it works for me. It gets me in these spaces where I can talk to young people, and they don't know that I'm old, so I can influence them. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, I mean, like what you're doing, Jana, like it's nothing short of remarkable. I mean, ultimately, my goal is to be able to show young people that it's okay to let God use you in your gift. Mm-hmm. You can use your gift for God, and it's not corny, it's not whack, it's not stupid. It actually will benefit you. It will help you live a better life if you give your gifts and talents to God. So, like when I see young people like Jana, like it's like, yes, like this is.
Thank you.
You have so much influence over you have way more influence than I have, because when you do it, you're showing your peers that, like, yes, I'm living a fulfilling life, life. When you're using your gifts and talents to the best of your ability to share and give glory to God. So, that's the ultimate goal.
Woo! And also, I got to make sure to do this. It's Jana, because I've been around the Stewartsons enough that her Jana.
I apologize.
No,
that's okay.
It had to come from me, right? Because I also, now we got about 5 minutes left. We got a connection segment, but if any of you all feel moved or inspired to drop something else on us, I love the fact that Jana says, I don't do nothing twice, y'all. So if you want to come up with something else today, I'm here for it, because then we can say, F.L.O.W got an exclusive. Y'all can only hear it here. So the space is open, the platform is open, and no pressure. If you have something to share, if not, we're rolling the connection. So yeah, whoever's got it, let me get ready. I'm here.
Rob, why don't you give us something, man? I know you act like you don't have nothing tucked in the vault. I'm sure you got something.
You want a sermon right now? I'll leave mine for the connection. I do have something that's really out the word, but I'll leave it for the connection because this is about you creatives as labeled or acknowledging the label of poet. And I really want to admire y'all.
Yeah.
But, Laws, you want to go? I got something here, but I'll let you.
Nah, go ahead.
So here's another one I have, kind of like Jana, no title to it. Some of them are titled, some of them aren't. But this is another one I've been working on. Here I am, no rhyme or reason. If I pay attention to love, it will get me locked up for treason. Out here putting all my eggs in one basket, wondering if I'm going to end up in an emotional casket. It's like playing a game with unlimited overtime, keeping me at the edge of my seat over time. Does it really carry weight when it tells me to wait, holding me in a bear hug like a welterweight? Champion of the longest running scam or scheme. I see how your eyes gleam when they walk past your path. Their swag alone got you in their bag, questioning all types of ish like, why my heart behaving like this? The tipsy-turvy behavior of your stomach leaves you squeamish. Your insides all loopy and gooey-ish. Endorphins release and you start to relax. Yo, turn that music up. Let it hit the max. Take your mind away to a better place. Take your mind to where it runs its own race, where there's no competition, only room to brag. You wipe your face with a rag, tired, like you've been running from love in a game of tag. In, out, in, out. Act like you got sense. Learn to control your breath. Don't let love figure out what comes next. It's a game of the mind, so protect your heart. This way you avoid the line. This is how the story starts. Because you know it's only downhill from there. Next thing you know, somebody's playing in your hair and you're holding hands and walking through Washington Square, parks in the summer like Central and Prospect, eating ice cream and wondering, who am I and what is this? While love stands in the corner laughing and saying, I run this.
Yes.
First of all,
What's a love story right there?
I need to comment on somebody because somebody who's gonna watch this or who watched this, I know you're in your feelings because she done told your story. Because you know that I got out there like that. Honestly, I'm laughing now because I know she was talking about me and I feel some type of way. I laugh instead of cry. Well, come on, y'all. Like,
I had the whole visualization of that whole scene set up.
Woo! All right. I got my seat back. Who next? Because this is life.
I have something. So again, my stuff is like it's like, rhyme format. So it says, I'm trying to walk by faith. The God that I serve, he's all time great. He died on the cross, ain't no small time grace. Spoke to my heart and my thoughts got shaped. To walk in obedience, exhort that name that saves, finally brushing off that hate, forgiveness and peace for the lost. He was slain, upholding his rule, fulfilled the law when he came. It'll boggle your brain. What it cost to exchange more than y'all could attain from a vault in a bank. It was love that he gave on a cross. Could have got off, but he stayed because none of y'all would have paid for the sins of the world or would have conquered the grave. We all fall short and we all been astray, but he authored a way that we could walk through the gates. Believe, repent, watch it all get erased. Every wrong and mistake, even thoughts that are debased, getting tossed in a lake. Let us all celebrate, no longer enslaved to the cash or trying to ball or enthralled in the fame. My desire to lift higher, the Lord, so you saved. I'm drawn to the cross like a moth to a flame. Salvation for all, and it's all been arranged by the God who's alive. Though he died, he was raised. Okay. I like the multi-syllabic, of course, multi-syllabic.
No.
You said drawn to the cross like a moth to a flame, and I was like, wow.
But you need to understand, like, as for me, somebody who is a preacher, and I'm fanboying over all your works right now. I'm listening to that and I'm seeing the scriptural connections, and I'm like, oh, I get that, right? Like, if cross is a light, right? He is a fire, right? You are insignificant insect and you're drawn to him because of what he does, but he's really just talking about the like, yeah, I need to. So, Dana, please tell me you have something. Like, just be the cherry on this cake. If you don't, it's cool.
No, my sister told me to finish the poem, and I can't finish it, but I can do 2 more stanzas, something like that.
Okay.
Okay. I love my mother. She taught me metamorphosis. She says caterpillars grow big and choose to hang in cocoons. Little caterpillars grow wings, become butterflies, and baby, you can do that too. Try to teach me metamorphosis of a nation. 2009, her and her 4 babies go wait online to see a black face sworn in for the very first time. And she says, baby, you can do that too. But there's always a fear in her eyes. Her hands betray her, muscle memory, fingers forced right lines. Because she's afraid of bullets that fly like butterflies and bodies strung up like cocoons who didn't choose. Black mothers afraid for sons and daughters. Black mothers afraid for fathers. And my black mother, afraid for Obama, told him, get back in the limousine. They are sending butterflies. Yeah. That was the next 2 stanzas.
So how do you move from this understanding of the butterfly and a beautiful imagery of it and transformation, but also how your mother sees this as danger, right? And this is how I interpret it. Like, this is also something that she needs to protect and be afraid of.
The growth is danger, yeah.
To this other imageries in her life, these other things that she sees and wants to protect. So like bullets flying like butterflies, the same butterfly that she wants to. Okay, I want to let y'all know, reiterate for some people out there that F.L.O.W, it's space. This is a young adult ministry, and it's about elevating the voice of the people that come to it. Y'all all have voice. This is the talent, man. Jana right now represents some of the youngest of us, and you hear what she's saying. The word says, he who has ears to hear, let them hear. Right? So I need y'all to understand this. Look, I want to thank y'all. I'm about to roll into the connection. If you guys have something, please feel free to share it. There is no pressure, but I definitely have something for the folks out there. So let's run it. So anyone want to make a connection for the folks out there, but you know, kind of what we talked about and how they can maybe integrate that for their life. Anyone feel free to go first. Space is open.
You know, some talents get more play than others. And this month on a whole, we are going to be highlighting the creatives and just putting out there that God has given us all talents, and they come in different forms, and we shouldn't be afraid to use them, whether it's spoken word, it's rap, whether it means being an artist, however your talent comes, use it. God got you.
Great.
There's something on the internet where they were like, you need 5 hobbies, 1 to keep you exercising, 1 to keep you creative, 1 to keep you educated, and a whole bunch of other ones. And so I was analyzing, you know, different hobbies that I have, right? Oh, sorry, 1 to make you money, 1 to, there's, you know, all these different talents that you should have so that you can be a balanced person or whatever. And so I was analyzing, you know, spoken word and which one it fits into. Spoken word keeps me educated. You have to be educated if you want to understand different connections. You have to know a variety of knowledge. Spoken word has made me money. Spoken word has kept me deep spiritually, like definitely has given me an ability to look more into what I view myself as, you know, being a creative, being spiritual, being educated, making money, and, you know, even staying active. I think during the beginning of quarantine, I wanted to go outside and write poetry outside after a hike. Like that type of stuff. I don't think I would have taken hikes if I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go write in nature and I'll be motivated by stuff like that. So you can have different talents to keep you motivated in different areas, but finding something like this, where for me, spoken word is able to touch every part of my life, I think that's where you will be able to, you know, keep on with something and maybe not get bored of it, or help it be motivating in every aspect of your life.
Wow.
Yeah, agree. I would just say, in alignment with that, just to, you know, I think there's different ways to create. There's different, you know, you can be a painter, you can be a lyricist, poem. There's just so many different ways. I would challenge people out there to put that creative space in God's hands, like just to see if in what ways can He influence your creative space. You know, I think that a lot of times when we think of like being creatives, we just kind of think that it has to be exclusive of God in a sense, but He is the creator. So however you can kind of bring Him along your process, and have Him be a part of it, it's just, at least from my experience, it's been a fulfilling journey having God be a part of my creative experience. So
I appreciate that. And everyone, I wanted to save this really for the end, and this is my connection. And I'm going to pull it right from the word, because it says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth not. Somebody needs to understand that there was something that already exists in your words that creates light, and that light shines in darkness, and that darkness illuminates spaces in people's lives that they are unaware to. And even if they comprehend it not, because they didn't comprehend him either, understand that something is still happening and transforming on a level that has begun so far ago, right? That when they see it, only thing that they'll be able to say is praise God. As Sim the Motivator said, as F.L.O.W said, as Jana said, there is something that exists in those of you who are creative spirits that connects you directly to the divine. Because what did he do? He spoke the word and it became life, right? He said light, and light was here. He said birds, birds flew. He said fish, fish swam. He said water, water was there. He said separate things, and they were divided. But guess what? What he did with you was another type of creativity, because he got down and he formed you with his hands. And next week, we're going to talk about the visual artist. But this week, we elevated the word that is so powerful, right? I want you to choose now this day whether you choose life or death. I want you to understand there's power of life and death in your tongue. So every day you speak, you have the opportunity to speak something out there that can really grow and change or kill and dead some things. And so I just want to thank my guest for rocking out with us. Please, 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 please make sure to follow at Jana Stu. Make sure you follow at Lost to Live By. Make sure you check out their work, follow them. And, you know, at Sim the Motivator is a part of the F.L.O.W family forever. But also make sure to support her and the stuff that she does and the content that they put out. Y'all know, again, F.L.O.W is about elevating the voices that you already have. We just want to give you space to use it. But we got stuff to do. All right, so I'm going to do what my cousin tries to do and let y'all know all the things that we got going throughout the month. First and foremost, on Friday evenings, you can join us now at 8 o'clock. Forgive us because we are now adjusting to summer hours. Now the word at 8 o'clock. We just talked to you about how powerful it was. So come out and get some of it. And we're going to run out some new stuff. Also on Saturday mornings, Sabbath mornings, we get into some food for your soul. We call it soul food. Saturday mornings at 10:30 a.m. And we serve it up fresh and hot, y'all. It is good for your stomach. It is good for your soul. And once a month on the third Sundays of the month, we have Sunday dinner. And that's when we get together like family and just chop it up. We talk about everything and all things. I know so a couple of things have gone on this month already. I mean, we got volcanoes being active. We got people dying. I mean, X is going to be fresh. I'm bringing all of my Falcon and Winter Soldier energy to the table. I know some people talked about Grey's Anatomy. Some people talked about Bridgerton and what's coming back. Like I said, we talk about it all. F.L.O.W is about elevating young adult voice because your voices matter. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We hope that you've enjoyed our show. We will see you next week at 4:30 because next week we're talking about the visual artists, right? All my sketch artists, all my painters. If you know how to put something together, however you do it, hodgepodge, collage, whatever it is, we want to honor you. So if that is you, please reach out to us or be prepared to be reached out to by us because we want to celebrate you. Yeah, that's all we got for you. We love you. To my guests, hold up with us, and everybody else, peace, love, and blessings.